Hello, dear viewers of Africa in Change TV show. In this week's episode, we have attended a program which is celebration of International Democracy Day, which is celebrated every year on September 15th. And the theme of this year is artificial intelligence as a tool for good governance. So, as AI is a tool for good governance is the theme, and we as AIC is promoting technology and AI. And this program is held at Capital Hotel. We have programs, different programs, and interviews there. Please stay with us. Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back. This is Africa in Change TV show, partnering with HBS. We are going to present SAPE's celebration at Capital Hotel. The International Democracy Day is celebrated around the world on September 15, and we have a guest who's going to tell us about SAPES and what its programs are in Ethiopia. Please stay with us. Welcome, sir. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Franklin Udro. I'm the country director for National Democratic Institute, as for short NDI, a member of the SEPS consortium.
Can you tell us what SAPES means? Because our viewers...
Yeah, I mean, SEPS is an acronym for the Consortium for Elections and Political Processes Strengthening,
Okay.
which essentially is a program that brings together different international organizations with funding and support from the United States government through USAID to support democratic processes around the world. So SEPS is not only in Ethiopia, but it's all over
Everywhere in
the
the
world,
world.
and partnering with local partners in response to demands to strengthen and support democratic processes. In Ethiopia, SEPS has been around since 2019, following the reform that was initiated by His Excellency the Prime Minister, and to support issues around Ethiopian political and electoral processes.
Okay.
In Ethiopia, SEPS is currently made up of International Foundation for Electoral System, IFES, which works to strengthen and support the election board, NEBE, with technical capacity and funding to be able to deliver on its mandate on promoting credible elections. Another member is the International Republican Institute, IRI, which also supports civil society around issues of civic and voter education and civil society strengthening. And then we have the National Democratic Institute, where I head in Ethiopia, which also works with political parties through the Ethiopian Political Parties Joint Council to support capacity building and strengthening multi-party system in Ethiopia to be more constructive in political processes and electoral processes. And then we also support civil society groups to do election monitoring, observation, and also inclusive electoral and political processes.
Thank you.
And then maybe I can add that we have other two partners, which is Internews, which also works with the media to strengthen media capacity to report, to be more constructive in the democratic and political processes. And then we have this Center for International Private Enterprise, SIPE, which also, as part of our program, is to engage the private sector, the business community, to be more constructive and support peace building, dialogue processes, and electoral processes in a more inclusive way.
Perfect. So tell us about women's and persons with disability engagement in this platform, because these people are a part of this democratic process. How do you engage them in your programs?
So one of the pillars of our programming is to promote and support inclusive electoral and political processes. And when we say inclusive, not just marginalized communities like persons with disabilities, but also groups that have been traditionally unengaged in the electoral process. So they are not marginalized, but they don't engage in governance, good governance process. We want to bring everybody into the space, support that, because as you probably know, when we talk about democracy, democracy is about citizens' participation. It's about providing the space and opportunity for everybody to be heard, so that the welfare of citizen societies are informed by the views and aspirations in decision-making processes. So one of the areas that SEPs have been working on over the past 5 years is how do we support women-inclusive political processes? How do we ensure that persons with disabilities are part of the discourse and discussions around elections, around national dialogue, around peace building, conflict mitigation? How do we ensure that the youth, the energy of the youth, is used for more constructive purpose? How do we create spaces for them to be part, to be heard? And then we are also very much interested in IDPs because IDPs still have rights. The fact that they are internally displaced people doesn't mean their rights should be ignored. So we have been supporting in these 4 categories of inclusion: women, youth, persons with disabilities, and IDPs. Increasingly, we have also been interested in looking at what we call the traditionally unengaged group. So like the private sector, the business community, academics, like lecturers, teachers.
Yeah.
They are part of the decision-making process. They are not marginalized, but they don't usually engage in some of these things.
Yeah.
So one of the areas that SEPS is interested in, indeed, that forms part of today's celebration of International Democracy Day, is inclusive democracy. Right? How do we strengthen that? How do we support national partners to
is there a specific motto for this year's celebration?
Well, yeah, this year's celebration is looking at inclusive democracy, engaging all stakeholders for future together to ensure that all of us are part of democratic processes. Because you can't talk about a fair democracy when some are excluded and some are included. So we need to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. So the theme for the global celebration for International Day of Democracy is inclusive democracy, right? And here in Ethiopia, SEPS brought various partners from the election board, NEBE, from the Joint Council of Political Parties, from the media, from the business community, and from civil society partners like EULA, like Temeran, like the Coalition of Ethiopian Civil Society for Elections, SECO, like FIAB, the Federation of Persons with Disabilities, like CERO, Consortium for Ethiopian Human Rights Organization, that have been doing work around IDPs inclusive processes, to discuss and reflect on how far have we come. Perfect. How much more we can do, what are some of the constraints, and how can we all work together to break the barriers for inclusive democratic processes.
Perfect. So we observe a lot of problems and challenges in Africa in these specifically democratic processes. And in Ethiopia, there are lots of civil wars still. People are just raising a question of democracy, fairness, justice, and others. So what are the challenges for your organization to fulfill your agenda, your plans, and your aspirations and others, because you are coming for a specific purpose? And what are the main challenges that you observe?
I mean, first of all, we should understand that democracy is a project, it's a process, it's not an end thing, right? It doesn't start and end. It's something that we continue to nurture, something that we continue to grow. It's like putting a plant on the ground. You have to continue to put water on it. Sometimes you have challenges, you have setbacks, sometimes you have progress. Sometimes some democracies die. Around the world, we have seen a challenge to democratic processes globally, not only in Africa or developing society, even in developed countries. Those of you who read American politics, or follow American democracy will see the challenges America itself is going through after 200 years of democratic process. So no country can say that it is immune from challenges of making democratic progress. So the mindset, the principle will have to be that we always have to find ways to grow democracy. And that's why events like this today is important for us to sit back and reflect how far have we gone, how much more can we do to strengthen that processes. So Ethiopia, just like many other countries in Africa, are facing the similar challenges. So it may be different, but it's similar challenges, whether it's internal conflicts or whether it's problems with weak institutions and things like that. But what we all have to do collectively is to work towards that aspiration. It's a vision, it's a goal that we want to go. And so we need to continuously work to improve upon that. We need to continuously find ways to address our challenges and bring everybody together to solve problems and ensure that we match towards inclusive democratic processes.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin, for the time we had.
Thank you also. My pleasure.
Dear viewers, that's all we have for today. As usual, we have a theme to say, we are a nation, make a better tomorrow for our motherland, Africa. Have a great week.